Welcome on in, everybody, to the fourth episode of our Berserk PodPlay. What's a PodPlay, you ask? It's a combination of a Let's Play and a couple of dudes talking about Berserk in a podcast format. And today's topic is going to be, what if, in the golden age of Berserk, Guts did not make it out of the Eclipse, and instead, a different Band of the Hawk member was the new protagonist beyond that point? We're joined today by Guest and Maguffin Man. Take it over, Gas.
Hello. You can find me at twitch.com/gasgas. You can find Mullet, who was just talking, at twitch.com/mulletwesker. And you can find Maguffin Man on YouTube, youtube.com/MaguffinMan. That's MAGUFFIN. Couple warnings. Spoilers will probably be had. Spoilers. It's gonna happen. So, if you have not read or watched all of Berserk, we suggest you do. This is just a general warning. There are gonna be spoilers. Other than that, we're all big Berserk fans. Maguffin Man, sadly, has not read the manga, so he has not gone past the Eclipse too much.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, you better be sorry.
I am.
But it's all good. We have a Band of the Hawk theme today. And let's just get going. What do you guys say?
Do it.
Well, I say this was your idea, so you go first.
All right. I actually have a few answers. Well, actually, I have an answer for every Band of the Hawk.
Wow.
But
well, I mean, if you have an outline for how every member could become the protagonist, even down to Goku, let's hear it, man.
Aw, man. You ruined my joke. I was definitely going to say Gaston was my number one choice.
Goku Stone.
Yes.
Right. Not even fucking Goku could stop Guts.
Yeah,
man.
That's true. Everyone talks about how, like, Superman and Goku could fight. What about Guts and Goku, you know? No one talks about that.
I mean, let's be real. Goku would win that fight, but...
Yeah, I know.
Only if he's in his universe, I suppose.
True. But I would say my first choice would have to be Pippin. Just because I love Pippin. And he's probably the most realistic one to be able to survive and use the Berserker armor and fight demons, right?
He's the most Guts-like.
Yeah, he's super big. He uses a cool hammer. And when he does die in the Eclipse, he actually goes down with a fight. You know, he still gets ripped to shreds, but he kicks ass while he's doing it.
That's true.
So
I think the only Band of the Hawk member that doesn't go down swinging is Corcus, right?
yeah, he gets distracted by boobs.
I mean, he pretty much gave up.
yeah, which is to be expected.
Died via motorboat.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a solid. Honestly, knowing Corcus, that's probably how he wanted to die. So I don't feel bad for him.
Oh yeah.
Perfect setup for
100%.
that character.
Yeah, yep. But Pippin also, we don't know a lot about, and I kind of want to just know his backstory, you know? The Miura, the writer, is so good at writing backstories that I think Pippin's backstory would just be badass.
Yeah, I think it'd be great.
Yeah. Now my second choice is actually before I get to second choices, I'll let you guys go. MacGuffin, let's hear yours.
All right. So
Yeah,
I was thinking about this a bit. I think I'm just gonna have to go with Judo. And I think that's because there's so much of a learning curve there. Like I said, I don't know much what goes on after the Golden Age arc, but Judo has the love interest going with Casca.
Yep.
So that's something you can build on. And then he's going to have to learn more how to deal with this world without being overly strong.
That is true. It would change a lot of the fights because he'd have to be like far more strategic. instead of just a powerhouse.
And I'm interested to see how that would play out.
That definitely would be.
Think about it this
cool.
way: if Berserk were a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, and your protagonist is no longer a barbarian, but instead we have a rogue who's
Yes.
Juno, basically Judo. I know there's different ways to pronounce his name. I mean, I can see him getting through a lot more of the dialogue sections of the story a bit better. You know, he'd probably be able to worm his way out of certain situations and around certain characters more. He would probably just opt for a whole lot of stealth and maybe like trapping enemies more, because when it comes to giant apostles, he would really have to think ahead, whereas Guts just kind of dives in and then crawls his way out at the last moment when he's getting his ass handed to him. You know, Juno's probably not going to be able to take the same level of pain, so he'd have to be a lot more strategic.
True.
Right.
In his revenge.
And also just like he's the most reasonable character and the most positive in the Golden Age arc. And
oh yeah, his positivity is disgustingly, like, it never runs out.
I'd love to see how the Eclipse would affect that.
Yeah, like the psychological side of things. That is like the most interesting thing about this premise, is seeing how all those characters handle it.
Yeah, because Guts, I'm sure, goes on just being bigger and angrier, right?
For a while, yeah.
I mean, let's really not spoil the Black Swordsman arc, but yeah, for a while, man, he turns into a monster for a little while. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
If you thought he was a monster already, you haven't seen it.
Which sounds awesome.
Well, you've seen the first episode in the '97 anime, where he fights that snake demon.
Oh yeah,
that's Dark
Swordsman guy.
Yeah, that's Dark Swordsman arc. So like,
that's awesome.
That's pretty much just Guts for 3 years, just torturing demons and being pissed.
Is it not a total requirement when you finish up with that first anime to bounce back to the first episode just to be like, wait a second, because it stops so abruptly on the 25th episode?
If you do, you'll have a lot more context as to like his wounds and probably why he's acting the way he's acting.
Yeah.
But that sequence in the story where he fights the Snake Apostle actually takes place not shortly after the Eclipse. There's more time there. Yeah. I think that was just a really cool enemy to animate, and that's why they picked him fighting the snake guy for the anime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's the snake guy is actually the very first arc in the manga. That's how it starts.
That's cool. So yeah, I'd go with Judo.
Good choice. Mullet?
Well, I was also going to say Judo, so I just want you all to know that everything I'm saying here is being pulled out of thin air.
Fair enough.
But what if we did a role reversal? And, I mean, everybody fucking loves Judo, man. Everybody loves him. And look, nobody was going to pick Corcus, you know? So what if instead of... So what if instead we did a role reversal and Guts either died or went into a coma or something? And what if Casca instead became the protagonist?
Oh, yeah.
And took over?
That is definitely a cool idea that I thought of. Going in a coma, I was going to say total role reversal because, I won't get into exactly what happens because it's not really TOS friendly. But, yeah, Griffith and Guts kind of had like a weird thing, romantically. There's definitely that theory. So maybe Guts was in Casca's place during the Eclipse.
Oh yeah, interesting.
So
no, I'm not saying we're changing who Griffith, was interested in here. I'm merely saying keep the story as it is up until the Eclipse, but when the story goes past that point, Guts is the one that's incapacitated, and it's Casca instead who has to, seek revenge / find a cure, go on the same journey that Guts is on.
Mm-hmm.
How much different would that be? Now this is getting a little beyond what MacGuffin knows, but when Farness, a character you're unaware of, comes into contact with Guts, what if instead that was Casca? Would all the same things go down between the future characters of the story?
That is super interesting to think of, and yeah, I would love that, honestly. I would totally love to see Casca just kicking ass, because also it would be kind of similar to what we were talking about judo, where she would have to play it differently. She would have to strategize a little more, but at the same time, Casca is a bit of a powerhouse. She's like a good in-between.
I was gonna say, right, I mean, besides Griffith and Guts, I mean, she's one of the core trio of this story. So after Guts and Griffith, she's probably the best fighter that the Hawks have, hands down.
Definitely. They even say that in the story. And actually, I just read this part where Casca punches Guts. It's funny because Guts is like thinking in his head, like, what the hell? He's like fiddling with his tooth that's loose and stuff. He's like, that's not a woman's punch. It's like, fuck no.
Oh no.
Casca's got some muscle.
Oh,
awesome.
Dude, absolutely.
She's always been fighting like an uphill battle because she's a woman, and I think that'd be really cool.
Well, she's a woman in a setting where women were not treated as equals, and women were not soldiers in in Miura's setting. So yeah.
They're constantly
of course, Guts would be surprised when she fucking knocks his tooth out.
Yes. Yeah, I think that'd be a fun story going on from there with Casca.
I would definitely love that. I would love to see like the psychological side too, because of how she treats Griffith throughout the Golden Age, and how that would change.
Oh yeah.
Just breaking away from her like obsession with Griffith.
Yeah, and especially since she was kind of already doing that near the end, because she was starting to like understand Guts' side a little more and why Guts left and whatnot. But yeah, it would just be so interesting to see how Casca just kicks ass. And I personally think she could do it. I think she could fight some demons. Which, interesting, MacGuffin. Oh man, should I spoil this for you?
You guys can spoil whatever you want. It's all good. It's my flaw for not continuing the story.
Executive action. You can't spoil Berserk for a noob, man. You can't rob MacGuffin of all the what the fuck moments.
I've been watching. I've been watching the Golden Age arc though for like 11 years, so it's like it was my choice to not continue that by reading what happens, which I still should.
No, man. I don't know, dude.
Well, I'm trying to think of how I can say it. Basically, we might be able to see that. We might be able to see how Casca fights against a demon. We might actually get that chance.
That'd be awesome.
Mayhaps.
Yeah.
Well, if you read the manga, she does fight some demons in the Golden Arc.
Oh.
What?
That's just that. Remember?
You mean in the Eclipse?
No, not then. When they're escaping with Griffith.
Oh, against Wild?
Yes. So there's a whole sequence left out of both the movies and the 97 show MacGuffin.
Yeah.
Where so when they go to rescue Griffith from the king?
Yep.
So the king is actually a mega piece of shit, and he has a special monster he keeps in the basement that is an apostle. And
he
apostle,
also has a thing for his daughter, just to add to the piece of shitness.
The king is a horrible character in the manga, and
they don't express that much.
No, they cut all that out of the show for time, most likely.
Yeah, I would imagine.
To make a long story short, when they escape with Griffith, the king sends a group of assassins after them, and Guts and Pippin just fucking ruin these assassins. And then the king is like, okay, I'm bringing out the big guns now, and he sends this apostle that he keeps in the basement, and he keeps him appeased by just sending the apostle women and food and whatever he wants, basically. He's like a mad dog. And he unleashes that apostle and an army of soldiers on the Band of the Hawk as they're like trying to ride away with Griffith in their wagon.
Yeah.
And Casca and Guts basically 2-on-1 fight this apostle, and it doesn't go very well, but she does have some experience fighting a horrible fucking monster before the eclipse occurs.
Well, I would have liked to see that.
Yeah. I know when I was watching the Netflix movies, I don't want to call them the Netflix movies because they weren't made for Netflix, but the trilogy of the Golden Arc in film format, I was so disappointed when they did not add that, because there's a very cool scene. There's an extra scene with Zod in that sequence, and it's a shame that that's not animated or voiced in any way.
Yeah. By the way, I remember us talking about this a while back, where I was saying they did put that in the movie, and you corrected me, and I now know what I was thinking of. I was actually thinking of this game, because they animated it in this game.
Oh yeah, Wild's in the game.
Yeah.
You can play as him, right?
Yeah, we haven't told you, MacGuffin. So this game is actually, if you've ever played Dynasty Warriors, it's essentially that.
Nope,
but
never played it.
Okay, well, it's basically
Have
a
you
button
ever heard of
mashing
a
game.
Have you ever heard of a Musou game?
Nope.
I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but that's basically the name for the Dynasty Warriors genre, where you're one guy killing hundreds of thousands of enemies in a level.
Yeah.
So if you would like having the imprint of the square button on your thumb, you play this game.
Yeah.
Sounds fun.
And the cool thing about this game, even though it is kind of mindless and button mashing, they go through pretty much the entire story up until what was out when this game came out.
Oh, awesome. What system is this on?
I have it for PC, but I think it's Xbox and PlayStation.
Okay, nice.
Now, you will be getting a very abridged version of the plot if you play this. I highly recommend you read the entire manga and then you go back to consume more Berserk media.
Yes. Or, just engulf yourself with Berserk. Do everything. Read it, watch it, play all the games, find the old Dreamcast game, the old PlayStation game. Just spend 2 months only doing Berserk things.
And it sounds like it would be a blast too.
It would be.
And I'm so curious about what happens, because I just rewatched the Golden Age arc, and it's just like, oh, this is awesome. And I also forgot that the Golden Age arc doesn't continue with it just stops short right at the end of the Eclipse. So I forgot that the movies include the Skull Knight. So I had to go back and watch that part of the movies, because I'm like, wait, doesn't the Skull Knight come in?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, because doesn't it, the anime, the show, it kind of just ends with everyone seemingly dying, no one survives. But yeah, the
final
movies
shot
actually
of the 97 show is Guts screaming while he's being pinned down by the demons in the Eclipse.
Oh,
and that's where it ended. I was like, wait a second.
You're like, there's no fucking way this is the end of the story. What?
and then it's just like, I feel so hopeless right now.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
That scene, I'm pretty sure I talked about it last time, but that scene is so fucking cool, because Casca is like, don't watch, and then Guts are just staring and getting his eye literally stabbed out of his head, but he's still
Guts definitely
staring.
is not a thinking man, at least not much at that time.
No.
I saw a meme the other day of Guts, and it's just like, too angry to die, and it's like, that's perfect.
He is, literally too angry to die.
Perfect.
Someone asked
100%.
me on stream last night to sum up the plot of Berserk, and I said, man, too literally angry to die.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why we love him.
That's great. He's such a fun character and just so fantastic. And everyone he goes up against, you're like, oh, they're going to get fucked. And then, then Zod happens, and it's like, oh, what is this show?
Yeah. It's so good. I could talk about Guts forever. But we're getting a little off the rails.
Yeah.
Let's reel it back a bit.
I mean, as long as we're talking about Berserk, I don't think we're off the rails.
I mean, you're right. There's no wrong there.
Just jumping tracks.
Jumping tracks.
But actually, Mullet, did you have anything else to say about your Casca?
I could probably go and break down specific scenes and sequences and how they might be different, but we'd be here a long time.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, we can definitely do
so
that.
no, Casca's my pick to be the protagonist.
I say at this point, let's just go down the line of characters and talk about them. So I was also gonna say Judio, and you guys kind of already hit everything I wanted to say. Just seeing, really, one thing you guys didn't mention, actually, you touched on it, but you didn't talk too much on it, is his relationship with Casca. Because
Oh, yeah. That's why he's a good substitute.
You have a similar motivation there for him to continue on for her. It's just different.
And that was always something for me that I wanted to know more about, because it was such a small little thing. Like, you had no idea Judo had this thing for Casca until he literally dies. And it's just like, wait, what? He was, like, into her this whole time? What? Like,
I can maybe expand on that a little bit.
Go ahead.
With some of my word vomit here on why he says that then and there. So as you get through the story of Berserk, and mainly in the scene where Guts overhears Griffith talking to Casca about how in order for him to consider someone a true friend, they would also need a goal to aspire to. Otherwise, Griffith kind of just doesn't see them as people, you know?
Mm-hmm. So
Judo, I think, also knows this, but not in a I want to be friends with Griffith kind of way, but in the way of he has a certain skill set and he knows what that skill set is going to do for him in this world. He's a cutthroat. He's a mercenary. He gets paid to kill people, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't kill people in the way Guts does. There's no bravado. There's no show of strength. There's no spectacle. He's a sleuth. He's a rogue. He throws daggers, right?
Yeah, he's very realistic about his skill.
He is. And I think correct me if I'm wrong, but he even says that he is like a jack of all trades, master of none type.
He does.
Right?
That's one of my favorite lines of his, actually. He does.
Whereas Guts is the master of wrecking you in one single slab of iron swing, right?
Yes.
And that's what propels Guts to his platform, to his level, right? Judo knows he can never get there. He knows he can never get there. So Judo has, with some sadness in him, accepted his lot in life. He knows that even though he is a valued member of the Hawk and people look up to him and he's super positive, he knows it's never going to get better than this. It will never be more than this. And even when they fleetingly become nobles for like a weekend, he knows that's not going to last.
The one glimpse of happiness in that show.
Right.
Yep.
So when he admits to Casca he always loved her, he knows that he couldn't have done it earlier because Casca loved Griffith, and Griffith was on a whole other level from Judo in multiple ways. You see where I'm kind of going here?
Yeah.
I think that's why he never confessed any interest in her, because he knew that she was in love with Griffith and that she had a feud with Guts, and Judo probably knew that she was going to end up with one of them, and they're both on these levels that are beyond him. Like, literally, they are all above his league.
Yeah, they're just powerhouses.
Exactly. And not even just in their combat prowess. I just mean, like, the strength of their character.
Yeah, those are two guys that have a destiny ahead of them.
Right. They are masters of their trade. He is the jack of them all.
Hey,
yes.
Hey, guys, look, it's Gaston. We found Goku in the game.
Oh, shit. Nice.
But the cool thing about what you're saying there, that he kind of accepted his skill level and, like, he's very realistic about who he is.
Yeah.
So, going to the idea that he's replacing Guts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Guts...
Now he's got to rise above all that.
Yes, because Guts even does that. As you see in the Black Swordsman arc, he starts using daggers. He starts using bombs. He has a rocket launcher in his arm, you know?
Like a literal RPG.
Yeah. Like, he doesn't just use his sword because he realizes that, he can't be a one-trick pony anymore.
Guts is like forced to fight smarter.
Yeah, or smart for him at least.
Yeah.
I mean, he does outwit his opponents. He lures them into a false sense of victory, and then he's like, "Gotcha."
It is true. He is like brutally.
Yeah. Please, no
smart
one mistake
sometimes.
that we're calling him dumb. Like, absolutely.
No. He's like a combat master, really, and to the point where he even in because I just read this in the one of the Black Swordsman fights, he finds a human, like an asshole human that's working for one of the apostles, and gives him his cape and tells him to like hide behind a corner, and then the apostle attacks that guy and is like, "Ha! I killed you!" And then Guts comes up and like slashes him in the face.
Yep.
Yeah. So he does brutal stuff like that.
Because I'm a D&D nerd that rolls dice, I always imagine Guts as like a multi-class of a barbarian in his early levels, and then a fighter in his future levels, where he has the brains to use more weapons and to be tactically, aware of his opponent's abilities.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
Yeah, the skill that comes naturally to him, he can't just rely on forever.
Correct.
And that's just being this ultimate powerhouse. So he has to fight different.
The story expresses that. Go back to the 100-man Slayer fight.
Yes.
Guts almost died, He almost died in that out of exhaustion. And he wasn't fighting smart. He was standing... He was using the awe and ferocity of his self to basically scare everybody into, not attacking him all at the same time.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite episode.
Oh, it's one of the best fights ever.
It's just a blast.
But
Breaks the arrow.
To add to all that, like, you see Guts get really good with these things too. Like, obviously his sword is his, that's his main thing. He's crazy with the sword.
But his accuracy with those darts, man.
That's what I was gonna say. He throws those darts in people's heads and eyes. Like, he throws them in eyes multiple times. Like, he's good at that shit. Almost, I would say, as good as Judio.
And he never does it. I don't think he ever uses something besides his sword in the Golden Age, right?
Yeah, no, that's news to me.
Not, I don't know. Maybe, he uses his dagger, if you want to count that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, not really.
Everybody should have a dagger.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just in case. That's your oh shit weapon. I'm out of options. Yeah.
My opponent is within 2 feet of me. The sword no longer will reach.
But yeah, to think of that, you would have to think Judo also has to change his tactics. And maybe he does train and become his like a powerhouse like Guts. Maybe
he would have to.
There's
have to.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe there's a cool training montage that we see after the Eclipse. Eye of the Tiger comes on. Yeah.
Oh man.
And
I can see Judo picking up maybe like a bastard sword, something that's heavy but more his size.
Yeah, that is a good question. What would the blacksmith Godo give him, you think?
Well, here's the question: does Judo even go to Godo? Because Godo is more like Guts' temporary dad,
Yeah, Guts does find him while he's journeying away from the Band of the Hawk when he leaves the Band of the Hawk. So let's just assume, for the sake of argument, that anyone who replaces Guts also knows everything that Guts knows, all the people that Guts knows.
Okay.
So let's say yes, he would go to that blacksmith. So like, what would he give him? Like bigger throwing knives? Like, like what would he be able to use to kill a demon? Because that's part of the story, is that Guts uses the Dragon Slayer because it's such a big sword. It can actually.
Oh yeah, when Guts
demons.
sees that, he's like, "Buddy, you're holding out on me here, man."
Yeah. Well, and the guy even says like, "Well, I never gave this to you."
Use it.
Yeah, he's like, when I made this, it was kind of like a joke, and it took
I made this
2 or
for
3
ceremonial
right?
weapon.
Yeah, it was he describes it as like it was made to destroy a dragon. And
at the request of like a king, I think.
Yes. And then
and Godo
the
was
only
like,
reason it wasn't
aren't real, so
well, he said the only reason why it didn't win, like they didn't use that sword, is because it took 3 people to like pick it up.
Oh yeah.
And then Guts is like, I'll just one-hand this.
and the noble was like, why did you make a sword I can't use? I'm gonna sentence you to death.
Yeah. But
Damn nobles.
yeah, that would be really cool to see Judo just becoming a powerhouse. I almost want to like Photoshop a picture of Judo's face over Guts' body.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what you guys were saying earlier, is like he's in this place of acceptance. So if he just has to accept that demons exist now, then he has to know that he's time to get stronger.
Quick interruption there. Sorry, I had to skip that cutscene. It's for copyright issues. Yeah, I forgot to say earlier. I can't show those cutscenes. I've been having issues with copyright.
If anyone's curious,
so
all of these cutscenes are straight out of the 3 recent Berserk films.
That's smart.
Yes. So there's not many more in the story, so we won't have to deal with that later because we're almost out of the Golden Age arc in the game. But just fair warning, I will have to get rid of any cinematic like that. But back to the subject at hand. Let me just one-shot Salat there. And all right, any more thoughts?
Shot a lot.
Any more thoughts on? Oh, gotta skip that. Whoop. On
That guy wasn't in the anime.
he was in the movies.
Yeah, the movies.
He actually becomes a big character after the Eclipse too.
All right,
Who's that?
Go watch the movies again.
Salat, the assassin dude, the Kashan assassin.
Oh
dude.
yeah, man. That dude is a cool fucking character.
And his 3 giant buff dudes that has like 300 muscles.
They're also Bakaraka members, aren't they?
They're all Bakaraka.
Oh, that's fucking crazy.
MacGuffin's like, what the fuck are they talking about right now?
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, totally.
So yeah, any more thoughts on Judo?
No, I think we can all agree he's probably apt to be the most adept at doing the trials of guts.
From my perspective, I think there's just more story to cover there with how he feels about Casca.
Oh, for sure.
Agreed.
1000%.
Now, who next? Let's go Pippin. Do we have any thoughts on Pippin?
It's another powerhouse, right?
He is another powerhouse.
Yeah.
He
So
could
Pippin's
probably
most
Go ahead.
likely to do the same stuff as Guts in terms of combat and kicking ass and taking the pain. But charisma-wise, that dude, I mean, his charisma comes in how much he doesn't say. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's the silent giant.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure.
That's always
So-
an opportunity to build characters around him.
True.
If he's the quiet type.
Very true.
Yeah, I just don't know how much of a protagonist he could be.
That is the problem. We just don't know a lot about Pippin, which is kind of what I said earlier. Like, it would be cool to learn more about him, learn his backstory, and also, like we said, he's also a powerhouse fighter, so he would probably be able to use the Dragon Slayer. Definitely more than
To an
any
extent.
other character. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and also
A lot of good opportunities for flashbacks there for sure.
yes. And also, it doesn't matter if he gets his eye gouged out because he always closes his eyes anyways, right? So yeah, Pippin, I guess not much to say about that. It would be pretty cool because he's a big buff dude like Guts. But let's move on to...
I feel so bad. Like, I want to say more about him, but I just have nothing.
I know, right? Well, we're not given much. We're not given much in the story. And as much as
It's
we love
true.
Pippin, we love him because we're not given much.
He's,
you know?
he is the definition of like a C character.
Yeah.
You know, he's
Mhm.
not
But you
even
see him and you're like, Pippin.
Yeah.
right,
Pippin.
because he's basically a big teddy bear that stands around
Yeah.
and intimidates non-members of the Hawk, and he's,
Oh, gotta skip
you know,
that.
he's the fluffy bear of the group, you know, and he's basically comedic relief in some places.
Yep. Speaking of perfect transition, comedic relief, what if Corcus was the only survivor?
Bro, I can't even entertain that.
Oh man. You have to get out of dick mode very fast.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. He would have the brand, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
He would probably die as soon as something sniffs the brand out and is like, oh yeah, fresh meat.
Yeah,
You know?
he, like the ghost shows up and he just starts crying
Yeah.
from the pain.
So here, I think we can tell MacGuffin this because it's not huge,
All
but
good.
like the brand that Guts and Casca got during the Eclipse, so that basically serves as like a tracking device for demons.
Yeah.
So at random points in time, demons and like skeletons and ghosts and whatever will just show up and come after Guts.
Which is no big deal to Guts. He kills them easily.
Right, but for Corcus, dude,
Yeah.
no way, man. He'd be like, "Oh my god," and run back into the brothel, you know?
A lot of running, yeah.
So an interesting thing about Corcus that I just thought of, the only way he would be able to fight demons, he would have to unlock this hidden potential, and I would not say it would be a physical potential. I would say it would be a hidden potential in leadership. So I could see him getting his shit together and convincing like a group of warriors to then hunt demons.
Dude, he better be giving them some moolah. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. I mean, very true.
It's a good opportunity to rebuild his character. That's for sure.
Right. To see a giant change.
Yeah, I mean, does he ever do anything really likable besides be a kind of like funny in an asshole-ish kind of way throughout the Golden Arc?
He kind of like yells at Guts a couple times and like calls out his selfishness, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, he says the hard truth.
Yeah, yeah.
That's true. That's true. But he can't say it about himself.
Nope, not at all.
Although, I can't dog on his fighting skills too much because, he did make it all the way through the story up to the Eclipse.
True.
Yeah, did we
like,
see him fight much at all?
Not much.
You do, but you never get any real fight moments like the way Casca takes on the soldiers in Doldry, or, there's never, it's Corcus's time to shine. It's just he'll cut someone down in the background and then shout an order or something.
Right. So he's definitely has some skill. Like, let's think about it this way. Griffith would not make him a captain for any reason, right? He's got to have
true.
some sort of skill, whether it's fighting
if
or
Griffith's-
leader.
If Griffith likes you, he's exploiting you for something you're good at.
Right. So, and maybe it's just a charisma thing. It could very easily be a charisma thing because Corcus, people like Corcus. But there's got to be something there that is some sort of potential he has that he could unlock.
Yeah.
Side thing about Corcus, a lot of people have this opinion, and I want to hear your guys' thoughts, that Corcus is the most human character out of all of them. The most realistically human character.
The most realistic humanly character in Berserk.
Yeah.
I think when it plays into his fear of everything, I think that holds true.
Yeah.
And his reaction to the demons is like, yep.
I mean, it's definitely a fair point to make. I don't necessarily believe it as the most realistic because there's this psychological side of it that Guts is actually a very realistic character other than his physical attributes. Just psychologically, how he reacts to things. The writer definitely has read up on his psychology. And he shows that through Guts and Griffith even. So just knowing, because I've done a little research in psychology, just knowing at least a little bit of how the human brain works, those characters, believe it or not, are actually pretty realistic. They're definitely exaggerated, to be fair, but still realistic. But yeah, go ahead, Mullet, you had something to say?
I'll say this. I don't think he's the most realistic because, let's face it, I think that's an arbitrary thing to fill, to decide, but I think he is very realistic in certain ways. For example, I mean, he's just kind of a crass, horny fucking dude. And
Emphasis on horny.
Right. And there's plenty of people just like that. And there's plenty of people who are a little insufferable like that, who speak the truth, but they're good at something. So, you know, they stick around and they continue to be assholes. However, I would say you could argue that Judo is in a way one of the most realistic characters, because like the nuance we were talking of earlier when you know, I said that Judo has accepted his lot in life and there's a reason he never admitted his love for Casca. That's something people do all the time in the real world, is hide their feelings because they think they aren't good enough to you know, be worthy of someone. So I think there are traits that every member of the Hawk has that are kind of realistic.
I would agree.
Griffith is a goddamn sociopath. Those people are absolutely out there, and they manipulate people all the time.
Rickert, you know, loves his fellow men. He like looks up to them, and he's a younger character, so that adds up.
He's the fanboy of the Hawk members.
yeah.
Now that I think of it, Rickett might be a good choice too. I mean, he doesn't experience the
Rickett
the
might be a
Eclipse.
good choice because he's actually alive.
Yes, but just to find out that young that, oh hey, demons exist, and didn't he interact with the Skull Knight?
He has now. I don't know if he ever did in the Golden Age.
He does interact with Zod, kind of.
I think Skull Knight saves him, and that's why he doesn't go into the Eclipse.
So actually,
No.
He gets separated, right? I'm trying to remember here.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly why he's gone, but he's not in the Band of the Hawk. Like, they choose not to use him for the saving of Griffith. They instead have him, like, I think him and a couple other Band of the Hawk members, like a supplementary troop, and he's in charge of that. Like a reinforcement thing.
They get killed by demons, right?
And yes, they get killed by demons, and Rickert is the only one that survives.
I can tell you what it is.
Go for it.
At least in the 97 show. So when Guts and Co are rescuing Griffith and they're riding back to the rest of the band, there was the band was split into two groups. There was the group rescuing Griffith, and then there was like the forward unit that they were trying to get back to, who had a camp going.
Yes.
And Rickert was with that camp.
That's what it was.
And Guts and Co never get back to them because of Wild. And then they take a short break before they rendezvous with Rickert and the others. And then it's at that point that Griffith activates the Bailet and the whole shebang goes down. So by basically orders of Casca, of Rickert being in charge of that other group, he's not there.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
If you took Rickett, though, and put him in that scenario, that's just like starting a whole new show. You can change that character into almost anything, right?
I mean, yeah, but at the same
Just
time...
because he's so young.
At the same time, man, that guy would have fucking died so hard in the Eclipse. I mean, let's be real here. It's not like he's a bad fighter, but the guy is like 4'5", I feel. At least until he grows up after the Golden Age.
He's still pretty short, man. He's still pretty short after that.
Yeah. I mean, the way he looks now, I get him and Judo confused sometimes.
True, yeah, they are pretty similar.
Yeah, his hair grows longer, McGuffin, later on, so...
Okay.
Sometimes I look at him and I'm like, Judo?
Are you back?
Come back to us.
It would definitely be cool to see how he handles it, because like you bring up Judo, it would definitely be a he'd have to change his strategy a lot. And we also don't see Rickert fight too often, because
almost never.
Yeah, he's normally just the guy with a crossbow on a horse, shooting from afar.
That is a good point. He is most often.
It just become like the Hawkeye of this series.
Oh yeah, that would be cool. But again,
Yeah, they don't really have a ranged professional in their troop, do they?
not really. And that's the thing. Again, bringing back what we said about Corcus, he is still a captain of the Band of the Hawk, so there is a reason Griffith put him there.
Oh, you know what? Can I throw a total wrench in this whole topic?
Go for it.
What if instead of one single member of the Hawk surviving, what if instead it was Judo, Rickert, Corcus, Pippin all together? Casca and Guts may be incapacitated or out of the picture, and it was up to that little troop to basically fill in.
I like that.
Yeah, think about that, dude, because
Like-
now you have multiple people. You've got the leader, you've got the sleuth, you've got the fighter, you have a D&D party, dude.
You do.
You
That's
got 4 characters equal 1 Guts.
yeah, right,
I mean,
right.
basically, yeah.
All 4 of them use the Dragon Slayer at once. Like
Yeah, sure.
that would be interesting, and it would be, I feel, way less dark of a story, which I don't like, but
Yeah, no.
for the sake of the argument, because they would be able to talk to each other. And that's the thing with Guts in his Dark Swordsman Day, and he kind of chooses this, but he has no one to talk to, no one to
Oh yeah, for a long time he is alone, and there's no one to tell him like, hey, you're being really stupid right now.
right, until he meets Puck, and then that's when, like,
And then he's like, fuck, you're annoying, get away from me.
yeah, but you could still tell that, like, Puck's words sometimes
Yeah.
actually gets to him.
MacGuffin, you've seen Puck actually if you've watched the movies.
Yep.
Okay,
He's cool.
so
like
you know
the-
who he is.
The little fairy guy, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Puck is great.
But yeah, that would be interesting to see just how those characters handle each other afterwards. You would see all of them react differently to the Eclipse, but also try to support each other. And it would almost become like a drama, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it totally would. Corcus would be like, why did you do that? And, you know.
Yeah.
All
Damn
kinds
it,
of
this is
shit.
all Guts' fault. Rah, rah, rah. Just complain about Guts the whole time.
Like, why isn't the big guy here?
It'd almost be easier to write, I would imagine. Because
Yeah.
you don't have all that weighing on one character.
Yeah, I feel like
But
it would become
you
a lot
don't have
like,
all that weighing on one character. Then you lose some of what makes Berserk so good.
Yeah.
True. I feel like it would turn more like a generic anime style where we're just like there's a ton of characters with a ton of different backstories and whatnot. Like, you know what I mean? Like the story arc of, oh, they're all classmates and, you know, they're all learning. You know what I mean? Like
You
that
have to
story
check-
arc.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's see.
This game is a blast.
You like it?
I'm really enjoying just watching you just destroy everything.
it's a very guilty pleasure of mine because it's very brainless, which is partially why I chose to play this game while we talk about Berserk, because it's very easy. It's very easy to talk about Berserk and play this. It's 2 buttons pretty much. So
Jesus.
I mean, the harder difficulty, like, you have to try a little bit. But yeah, it's pretty brainless.
Dude's waiting to get slaughtered.
Yeah. But you are right. It's very cool to watch. It's very
Yeah.
visually pleasing. And you haven't even seen Guts' final form.
Nope.
Has Guts achieved his final form?
Not yet. His Berserker armor. He looks so cool. I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
I've
in
seen
this mission.
pictures.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I actually really like the advancement of his armor as the series goes on. It's pretty cool to just see the little changes.
Dude, I
Yeah.
was thinking about that reading, because even though his armor changes from, like, Band of the Hawk throughout the whole thing, he still has the same like style. So if you look at Band of the Hawk, I mean, you can see right now on the character, you see how he has nothing on his left hand. It's just like a wrapping. But then his right hand, God damn it, Wild, I'm trying to show off my arm. He has like a metal thing, like, you know?
Yeah, he has a gauntlet on.
Yeah, just like his metal arm.
So I have a theory about that, and it is not supported by anything. This is entirely made up by me.
Excellent, I love it.
So Miura knows he's going to be drawing this character for fucking ever, right?
Yeah.
I think the choice to give Guts his right arm bandage wraps and his left arm a gauntlet was purely a practice in exercise to get his eventual metal arm perfect. Just think about it this way. When he writes the manga, Maguffin, when you get to the manga, it starts in the Black Swordsman arc. Everything about the Golden Age has already happened.
Oh, man.
And then somewhere around volume 12, it then loops back into... No, I'm sorry. Like volume 3 or 4, it loops back into the Golden Age. So Miura started drawing Guts with his left arm already with his prosthetic.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was like, well, fuck, Guts doesn't have a prosthetic arm, but...
Right.
80% of the time I draw this guy, he is.
Yeah.
So I think he just chose to give him a left-handed gauntlet. Or there's something a bit more deeper that, like, maybe people who did use big weapons in the Middle Ages, like actual bastard swords, had like a gauntlet hand because that was the hand that like took the heft of the weight, maybe, and they needed more protection for their palm and their wrist. I don't know.
So
I'm sure there's something there.
He actually draws this again. I'm relearning all this because I'm reading it again. But he draws this. How he fights, how Guts fights, where he actually will use that gauntlet as defense. So what he does is he pulls his sword up to defend.
And he's right-handed.
Yeah. So he'll one-hand the sword to defend, right, like normal. And then he'll put his other hand up behind the blade and use that as like more leverage, more defense. So there does seem to be a reason behind that gauntlet that I don't know if that is how it was normally used or if he just, imagined it that way. The writer just imagined that.
Well,
that way.
here's another idea, and you may have literally just said this and my brain's not processing it. So he's right-handed, and he does swing that weapon one-handed sometimes. So maybe his right arm doesn't have the gauntlet, so there's a little less weight on it, and his left hand can be used for the odd defensive maneuver.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I literally just processed what you were explaining to me. So.
A little bit, yeah. Interesting thing. You think we're getting off the rails again, but it's all good.
We're talking about Berserk.
Yeah.
No rails to get off of.
Yep. But Guts actually... Shit, I just lost my train of thought.
Okay.
Oh, Guts kind of one-hands his sword at all times, if you think about it. The Dragon Slayer? Not really.
I mean, he does sometimes, but what do you mean by at all times?
So, like, it's kind of... I'm telling kind of a half-truth. So,
So you're lying to us.
Only half. Half truth, half lie. But because he gets his arm cut off, you think about that muscle, you use a lot to swing a sword. Now, of course, he still uses his triceps and shoulders to swing the sword, so he still does have most of his arm. But it's still way weaker not having that muscle.
Yeah.
And it's hard to believe that the blacksmith is that talented that, he can combine nerves and that can take the weight and stuff like that.
Oh, no. Guts doesn't actually move his metal hands. He doesn't articulate it outside of, this is an interesting topic. Completely off topic, you're right. So his metal hand, it gets explained in the manga, McGuffin, that his metal hand, his fingertips, are magnetic.
Oh.
So when he puts his palm on the Dragon Slayer hilt, his fingers snap around it, which gives him a little more control to hold on to it.
I actually didn't know that.
You didn't know that? Yeah,
No,
I swear that's explained in the manga after the Eclipse when he gets the sword. Because Ricker is like, Guts, come here. Gordo made something for you. And it's the hand, it's the arm. And he like puts his hand over the handle, and Rickert's like, watch. And the fingers just go snap right around the blade. Or the handle, I'm sorry. But all throughout the manga, you see Guts' metal hand. You see the fingers in different positions as though he were moving it. And I think that's just artistic flair. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
That's
the
fair.
fingers would get out of position, or they would curl up if he's not, putting it on anything. Because, I mean, he's not moving those fingers. There's no way his nerves are connected to that. Unless there's some kind of magic going on that we've never been, shown, which I think would be kind of lame.
Right.
To explain that now.
Yeah.
Anyway, I had to just get that little nugget out there.
Yeah.
I had a question for you guys, you learned Berserk fans.
Go for it.
So after like the first episode, they talk about how Griffith is king, the commoners, and my question is that because did the world change after the Eclipse,
Oh,
or did Griffith go back to like own his own kingdom? Like, how does that go?
So there's a lot, and like I said, I don't want to spoil too much for you, but I'll say this: Griffith pursues his goal. But that anime in '97, I don't think that line of dialogue is in the movies, is it? That scene isn't in the movies at all.
No, I don't think so.
So
It's like one of the first lines of dialogue that I picked up on this week.
Okay, so in the manga, Griffith
Mission failed. What did I do?
continues to pursue his goal.
Come
Well,
on,
you
man.
left. Failed to obstruct
Come
the road,
on.
buddy.
I don't even know what I did.
He said the game was easy.
Yeah, what is going on here?
Oh shit! I was
So
supposed
yeah,
to do something.
Griffith pursues his goal, and as you can see in that show, the commoners are like, "Oh my God, King Griffith, we can't make him mad." Like they're afraid of him.
Yeah.
That's not really the tone in the manga, and I don't think the writers knew where the manga was going. The writers of the show, so I think they just went with that scared bartender line to help set up the story.
Yeah,
of,
because that lingered
of
in
the
my
show a
brain
bit.
for the whole
Yeah.
show. I was still thinking about that.
Yeah, the world does change, and I think Skull Knight alludes to this in his conversation with Guts at the end of the third movie, where after the Eclipse, so like the Eclipse that made Griffith into a member of the God Hand, that was not your usual ritual. That was a very special ritual that only happens like every so many years. And
I think they said what, like 260 years or something.
yeah, it's some crazy big number. And when that happens, the world of man and the world of demon kind of just slightly overlap.
Nice.
So the presence of undead and evil and apostles and dread is just heavier now in the story after the Golden Age.
That's so crazy to me because the Golden Age is such its own story, then everything
it feels
changes.
so different.
And after everything changes, there's like 30 years of manga.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, dude.
and it's not finished.
It's awesome.
It's not even finished. Yeah, so
Right.
even technically now, Griffith isn't a king. Technically, he's still kind of fighting to become the king. I mean, he kind of is, but I don't know. It's hard to explain.
Here's what Griffith is doing. He's essentially making his own country, and every other country around him is either going to join him or die.
Yeah, because
That's-
like we said, the demon world is interlapping, which means every country is like, holy shit, we're getting our ass kicked from these monsters.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Griffith is the only one around that can fight off these monsters.
Does he look like his human form or his femito?
He does
form?
look like his human form.
Yeah, there's some story there.
There's a lot to it.
I have another question for you guys.
Yeah.
So you've got this theme in the Golden Arc that Guts works up to, if him wanting to become Griffith's equal, and that's why he leaves the Band of the Hawk. Does that theme still present itself?
Oh man, you asked this at such a good time because I was literally just thinking about this last night.
Yeah,
Man, and I could honestly. We're at the end of the episode, so I'm gonna try to make this quick. But man, I
Sorry.
could make like a whole episode about this. So there is this idea that Guts. By the way, here's Wild Mullet. This is that other demon that we say Guts and Casca fights.
Oh God, he just looks
nice.
so less intimidating. In
little
in
bit.
this animation. Holy fuck.
Yeah, he still looks cool. He looks like the Guardian Ape from Sekiro, actually.
He does.
But anyways, there is this idea that Guts never fights for himself, and he has no idea why he fights throughout the entire story. Even to this day, he has reasons to fight, but it's different. He's not fighting for himself. He's fighting for others.
well, that's why that blacksmith conversation is so great with him, where he's like, I just hammer the metal. And it's like, yep, that's awesome.
I like the sparks. I like to watch them fly.
Yeah.
I like the sparks. It's like, yep,
It's simple.
you can dissect the shit out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, go ahead.
So the cool thing is that Griffith obviously is the opposite. He only fights for himself, with the side argument that, well, he puts his life on the line for Guts for unseeable reason. Like, they really don't explain it. I actually just read the part where Guts straight up asks him, like, why do you put your life on the line for me? And Griffith responds with, do I really need a reason? Like, that's his answer. So we don't know, which my reaction was like, aw, cute, they love each other, aw. But,
Like the one person he admires.
yeah. But it's this idea that Guts is never fighting for a reason of his own. You go through it, obviously his backstory, he's fighting to gain the respect of his father figure, who's an asshole. Then he literally loses a bet and starts fighting for the Band of the Hawk. And then eventually, after a few years, he gets used to it, and he's like, alright, I'll fight for you, Griffith. Like, I'm actually okay with this now. And then he finally gets out of the Band of the Hawk to pursue, because of what Griffith says, to pursue his own way to fight.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, here's what happens. Here's when Zod comes up.
Zod's my dude.
Oh yeah. And even throughout those like 3 years or something, where he's out of the Band of Hawk, or no, it's 1 year.
It's 1 year, yeah. He
Yeah.
fights with them for 3 years, and he takes 1 year off by himself.
Yeah. And even throughout that, he doesn't know why he's fighting. He's just like fighting to get stronger and to learn more about himself. But throughout that year, even though he gets stronger and learns some things about himself, he still doesn't have an answer. There's always this question of,
Guts is
where
still
am
a
I
young,
going?
dumb person.
Yeah.
Trying to find his way.
Yeah, it's very true. Like, why? There's this question that he keeps asking himself, which is, where am I going? In other words, what am I doing? Why am I fighting?
Mm-hmm.
And then he wants to gain Griffith's respect and be his equal. And
Well, he does
that's why.
initially.
Yeah.
But
Right.
see, I think you're taking it a little differently than I did. You're talking when he overhears Griffith talk about dreams and friendship, right?
Yeah.
I did not take that as Guts going, oh man, I want him to see me as an equal. I took that as, oh man, this guy doesn't see any of us as his friends even.
Oh, yeah.
True.
So
Yeah.
so Guts isn't like, oh, I gotta make him like me. It's I gotta leave because this is not my future.
But he wants some of that for himself. Like, he wants to be his own man because that's what Griffith is.
He does, and there's one scene in the entire show, the entire story, I think, that solidifies what Guts was looking for the entire time. And what Guts is really looking for is a place where he belongs, right? And the closest he's ever come to that is when they rescue Griffith and they're all sitting there by the carriage and they realize that because of Griffith's wounds, the Band of the Hawk will never be the same. Griffith will never stand on his own 2 feet again. Spoiler alert. And Guts is like, well, I'm going to leave. I mean, he doesn't tell anybody that, but he's left once before and they know, oh shit, Guts is going to leave again, guys. So Judo and Gaston and a bunch of other Hawk members bombard him and they're like, hey, Guts, what are you doing? And he's just like, and they're like, you're leaving. You're going to leave, aren't you? And he's like, well, and they're like, we're coming with you. And,
yeah, actually,
and you can just see his heart tingle a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, oh my God, I finally found it. You know, even if I'm still a mercenary, as long as I'm with these people, my friends, this is it. This is what he has been looking for. And then Fate was like, just kidding, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he had become that Griffith position that he always looked up to. And then
he didn't even know that's what he wanted.
Right. That's
and
like
you know
some
what?
Destiny shit.
In a way, he's become a better Gambino, too.
Oh.
Like the good version of Gambino?
Like if Gambino respected his men, you know, and didn't fucking sell his own men to each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you think about it, Guts has become a better version of his own father.
Yeah, I could see that. I can see that.
Yeah. I
it
love
for a
talking about
split
Berserk,
second.
man.
Split second. And then the eclipse happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what I'm saying.
man.
It's like now that Griffith is so high above him, like, is he working his way back up to get to that point just to kill Griffith now?
So that's the interesting thought that I've been having with this, going back to your question. Because after the eclipse, he's still fighting for no reason for him. He's not fighting for himself. You would think, yes, he's fighting for revenge. But that's not true. He's actually fighting to avenge the Band of the Hawk. He's not fighting for himself. He doesn't really care. I mean, he cares, but he cares because he cares what happened to his friends, not because of what happens to him, right?
He is a very selfless character.
Yes.
I mean, the guy literally sacrifices parts of his own body to save his friends, you know?
Yeah.
Right. And then after that, a little spoiler for you, MacGuffin, Casca goes missing, and then he has to find Casca, and then after that, they find out they can actually help Casca, and then the story goes from there. And that's where we're at right now in the story. So this whole time, Guts has never once fought for himself. So the question is Guts still on that journey to become Griffith's equal, to find what he's fighting for himself and to chase his own dreams?
He almost has to do that just to get revenge for the Band of the Hawk then. Like, he has to advance himself to a certain level just to fight.
He's
Griffith.
living for all of them.
Yeah.
You're right. And the interesting thing is that his character changes pretty subtly throughout. Like, he still rages, but now when he's, like, normal, he has this different demeanor. He's a very, like, respectable character now. He's, like, the old, wise, brute dude, you know?
Even though he's, like, 25, maybe.
Yeah. But, you know, people only live to, like, 40 in those years, you know?
Right.
Sure.
I'm not going to start another one because we'll start next one with the Eclipse, which will be pretty dope. But
Oh, shit.
But yeah,
Do you
it's
get a
this...
fucking demon horn in that level as your weapon?
You don't, but that would be pretty cool.
Damn.
Actually, let me see, because you do get different outfits. No, I don't think so.
Do you get topless Guts as an outfit?
Oh yeah.
Oh, good. Otherwise, there's no point in playing this game.
Let's see. I guess maybe you don't actually.
You get, like,
0 out of
the
10.
anime theme music.
Oh yeah, you like the music of this game? It's actually pretty solid. But yeah, going back just to wrap up what we were saying at the end there,
Yeah.
it's just this cool idea that, like, what is Guts fighting for currently, even, 400 chapters into the story? we don't know how he's going to react to Griffith nowadays, because we saw how he reacted in the Black Swordsman arc. He raged super hard, but he's way different. He's undeniably different. And a cool thing, side note, Black Swordsman arc, Guts reverts to his older self when he was a kid, like before Band of the Hawk. He reacts very similar to those two times.
Oh.
So he reverts to an old psychological state of his, kind of like he's acting like a child.
Nice.
But a really child with a giant sword and very angry. But
yes.
But yeah, but now he's definitely out of that psychological state. So it's interesting to see if he runs into Griffith now, he might not rage like he would in the past.
He's gonna rage. He's gonna rage.
I'm gonna have to rage.
He's gonna rage.
I mean, yes.
He might not do
it might
as,
be
as
different
quickly. He might actually entertain a conversation, but the entire time they're standing there together, he's gonna be thinking, how do I kill him?
When's time to rage?
Yeah. But it will be, in my opinion, it will be like a different kind of rage. Maybe like a controlled rage. Or maybe you're right. Maybe it will just... it would be cool to see him just revert back to the Black Swordsman days. To where he just instantly goes into that rage and freaks the hell out this sight of Griffith. That would be cool.
Has he seen Griffith since then?
Yes.
They have multiple interactions after the Golden Arc, for sure.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's something to look forward to, for sure.
Mm-hmm. He hasn't, in the current state, he has not seen Griffith in quite a long time. But yeah, it's just a cool idea to think about, like, how will Guts, now that he's made all these changes as a character, how will he react to Griffith when he sees him? But guys, we are going to end the pod play there. I hope you enjoyed it. Please continue the conversation in the comments. We love to hear your guys' thoughts on things. Who are your favorite Band of the Hawk member, and what do you think each member would do after the Eclipse if they survived? Again, you can find Mullet Wesker and Maguffin Man on the internets at twitch.com/mulletwesker and also youtube.com/MacGuffinMan. That's MAGUFFIN. Other than that, guys, you have a wonderful day. Much love.